our different social media channels later on. I hope that's okay.
Perfect.
I will give a we'll wait for another 5 minutes for the people to join, and I will give a very brief talk on the training and immigration reforms. So I will give a very brief talk on the training and immigration reforms for the international healthcare workers and doctors in the last 5 years in the previous governments. Uh, with this background, we would like you to give us some insight that what's going to happen in the next years coming ahead for the international doctors and everything regarding stuff that we have already achieved. We'll be paying huge tributes and thanks to you and to your coalition government partners. We are very happy that Ireland has one of the world's best immigration system for the international doctors at this moment. And this is a matter of honor for us, and we want to pay thanks to all of you and your team. And that's my talk about in 5 minutes. Mozam, we'll wait another, I think, few minutes, and then you can officially start it, and I will share my screen for that presentation, inshallah. Mozam, we'll wait another, I think, few minutes, and then you can officially start it, and I will share my screen for that presentation, inshallah.
Yeah, that's fine. So we're live streaming this on the YouTube as well, if that's okay, which we'll share the link on the Facebook accounts as well.
We'll wait another, I think, few minutes, and then you can.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone.
Walaikum salam. We have a representative from Sudanese Doctors in Ireland. It is one of the greatest organization here working for the Sudanese doctors. And Dr. Nimmer, I think, and Dr. Al Sadiq, he's a current president. We have invited both of them. So how are you, Nimmer?
Very good, very good. Thank you very much. Long time we didn't speak. How are you, Liga?
Good, I'm good. So we have a minister, Neil Richmond, with us, and he's our key guest. We also have a Dr. Noman, Mr. Noman Nabi, the president of Association of Irish Physician Surgeon, with us as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Noman, for joining today.
No worries. Assalamu alaikum, Lika and Dr. Usman. How are you?
How are you, Noman? How are you doing?
How are you, Dr. Usman? Where are you nowadays?
I am I traveled about 3 times in the last 5 months to Egypt, once to Abu Dhabi, once to Saudi Arabia.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah, in between I did locum twice, one in Queen Alexandra Hospital in Portsmouth, and I've done one in Derry. I have another locum for 3.
We miss you in Limerick, Dr. Usman.
Inshallah, I will come back. I have to come back.
Inshallah.
How are you? We have Minister Neil Richmond with us as well, and he has joined the meeting already. And we have Dr. Amar, and almost all of our guests are in now.
Very good. I'll mute myself.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think we should go ahead, Mosam, and
you want to start? Share the screen. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope that you people see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. First page. Thank you so much, everyone. but this evening and this wonderful event that we have organized for our international doctors, especially all healthcare workers, and we'll be recording it for those who are not able to join. So we have our key guest, Mr. Neil Richmond, as well as our panelists, different association representatives, especially our renowned and the famous person, Mr. Noman Nabi, who is president of Association of Irish Pakistani Physician and Surgeon, is one of the biggest organization Pakistanis in Ireland, working for their rights and working for their care. And also, he's elected member of Irish Medical Council, only immigrant, in non-Irish immigrant in the history of the Irish health system that has been elected along with myself. And also we have Mr. Dr. Nimar Usman. He is a representative and senior member of Sudanese doctors in Ireland with us. And Dr. Amar, who is Egyptian representative, senior member, also vice president of ISID, and myself. So I'll go through a very brief presentation that what we have achieved in the last 5 years, especially in the previous comment, and new elections are coming, and this is very interesting topics, and how this previous government has helped us in achieving our milestones and worked as a team members, and we have one of the world's best immigration systems so far, especially for international doctors and their spouses. We have achieved two things in this training and immigration reforms. That's why the international doctors, the healthcare workers, they relocate to different countries, making their top priorities of training and immigration. This is our social responsibility. So 4 years ago, when we started this campaign, so as a doctor, our social responsibility is that to help either through economic, educational, or political changes that can relieve the suffering for the other human beings who living in the same society. It was our key motive for the change. If we're talking about immigration reform, key thing that can alleviate the country's economic status that dependent on international healthcare workers, especially Ireland. More than 50% of the Irish health system is dependent, is a backbone of the system, is non-Irish doctors, international healthcare workers. So immigration regulation, they are directly impact them and their families. And this leads to further their career progression impact, family stability impact, social stability impact. So that was the key thing that we had to make sure that we achieve and make the social, family, and career of the international healthcare workers optimal. So when we started that, we figured out that there were certain hurdles needs to be addressed to have the best immigration system or training system in the Irish health system. So out of these, if you can see, um, so first one was ineligibility. So international doctors who contribute more than nearly half of the Irish health system, they relocate here and they're not eligible to apply for a training. Training is a key thing for any skilled professional to grow and their skills, knowledge, and to participate positively in the health system or any system they're working. So they were not eligible to apply for a training. So that was the first thing that we needed to address. And then citizenship, passport, citizenship, Irish citizenship. So that is also one of the key things that we didn't address. There was a delay of 8 and 10 years. Also, EU preference law that was one of the big hurdle for that training immigration reforms. Also, STEM 4 inequality. Certain STEM force was not considered equal when they apply for a job market or a training in the system. Also, there was no critical skill permit for the doctors, especially international doctors, because of their short-term contracts. And also, there was something going on, family visa delays, spouse working rights. These were all the things that collectively can improve the system as well as economy, as well as the suffering of the international community, professional skilled doctors or other skilled professionals who want to make Ireland home. So we found out, people asked like how we did. It was a massive work. It was a brainstorming. It was a teamwork. So we need to find out the major stakeholders, especially the government departments, enterprise, working, and also immigration department, justice, as well as health. So all collectively work together for even a single policy that we want to implement. And then training institutes who are our helpers mm, to guide us and to work with us for the change. And HSE, which is a health service secretary for the doctors and regulatory bodies, Irish Medical Council. So we found out that major influencers was evidence and research, social media, public awareness, media outlets, and ministers and TDs. That at the same time we need to engage everyone to bring even a small change. So we achieved almost all the milestones. It was a great success, basically, and it took almost 4 to 5 years. So the first milestone that I mentioned, that ineligibility, so it was scrapped off in, I think, November 2020, that any international doctor belonging to any country, non-EEA, so they are eligible to apply for a training automatically if they are holding Irish Medical Council registration. That was one greatest achievement. Second thing was citizenship delays. That's the biggest thing that impact the family, children, as well as um, their social stability. They can't buy a house. They can't access, long-term stay in this country. They can't label them as, they can't make this country as a home as well. So when I collected the data, I figured out that more than 20 nationalities who, not EU nationalities who filled the survey, it was figured out like it was 8 years plus time, especially for the international doctors um, to have a Irish passport. And it is because of the COVID and other stuff that was going on that led to the backlog. Because it was directly impacting our training reforms, so we needed to address that. So we had a lot of articles from different nationalities published on the social media to influence change. So we had a meeting and we involved almost 160 TDs, centers, and parliaments. We sent letters and questions and everything we did, and it helped out. Basically, everything was moving on. So Department of Justice contacted us and I had a meeting with them. It's a very long meeting, and we had a plan and agreed some amendments, and that was something that was very positive. And we still have a collaboration with Department of Justice, the Citizenship Department, any doctor who is, or any family members of doctors, international doctors, healthcare workers who are affected by the delay, so they address directly. Then another thing, like passport, 5, 6 years before that, because doctors are skilled professionals, so they are not eligible to have critical skill permit because of the short contracts. So there was no other solution for them, as well as there was an EU preference law which prevent them to apply for a training or to have an equal access to training. So this is something that was that took a lot of time to find out a way how we can have an equal access to training in the Irish health system. So stamp four, certain stamp fours were not considered equal. That's what we found out in the job market, especially in the training rights. So this was addressed. We wrote different letters to centers and TDs and petitions we put on in the media, and we were listened basically. We were engaged by the different government departments. The last government that was working with us. So that was the biggest change that happened, that they removed the non-EU policy that was discriminating international doctors from the EU doctors. So that was the biggest change that happened in September 2021. The next thing was that STEM 4 was not being given as per other critical skill employment permits holders who are working like nurses, engineers, IT technicians. They are getting a critical skill employment permit because they get 2 years contract. The doctors were getting a short contract, and that was something very difficult to change. So we addressed this issue in a very positive way. Um, uh, this was the difficulties I could mention here. Lack of critical skill employment permit, that was a biggest hurdle, not to have a stamp for within 2 years, just like other skill profession who can easily access that. It is because of the short job contracts, job security, visa problems. Everything was related to basically STEM for um, housing and visa. Short visa, you have to move school, you have to move GPs every 6 months. So we wrote a letter, and more than I think 700 doctors signed that online letter, and then we sent to the departments, and they had a meeting, and ultimately they introduced a new pathway, which is multi-site work permit for 2 years, and whoever completes that will get a stamp for. That was a mega campaign on the Twitter, and almost 2,000 doctors immediately benefited, and it was post-COVID. It was a great news, and this has led to the one of the world's best immigration reforms. And this included the multi-site employment permit for doctors um, instead of the critical skill employment permit. So they included that permit, and that was a good news. Still, short contracts. If you can spend 2 years, you can have an eligibility to apply for stamp for special immigration stamps was introduced for the doctors. And after that, our minister is with us already. So spouse working rights was the biggest issue for us, because I could hear like 7 years, a doctor and his spouse, or healthcare work, his spouse, who is maybe IT technician or maybe someone else. So they are not eligible, or even get a very great difficulty, huge difficulty to apply for a job and to get a stamp, which give them a right to work. So that was addressed, thankfully, and it was a, I think, greatest change that led to the great social stability and family stability. Both if a spouse and his partner are working, and it is contribute to the economy hugely, as well as making their life in Ireland better. And the next thing was the family visa delays, and we have been working for the last 1 year. Um, Very slow work has been happening on that, but some positive news that was given by minister, that that people who apply skilled professionals who get a job in Ireland, they enter the job market. They don't have to apply for visa or work permit separately. So together they can apply once, and it will definitely reduce the visa delay or visa time. And is very positive news overall. So that was all, and a huge tributes and thanks to the government departments, especially we have a minister with us. They helped us, they listened to us, and we are quite happy, and we are looking forward to have more news and more reforms in future from them. Thank you, Mosam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lekha, on a very brief summary what have been achieved in the last few years, and how our current government have been helping the international doctors in their demands. So it was a long journey, but very positive outcomes until now. We are really thankful to our outgoing Minister of Health, Stephen Donnelly, as well, and Minister of Justice, Minister Neil Richmond. They all have been working very tirelessly, and we have already seen a lot of changes, especially the delays in citizenship process. Like it has been sped up really well. Like my own citizenship process only took it less than 18 months. When I tell my other colleagues, who they can't believe it now, because previously it used to take more than 3 years. So, and people are, you're hearing from families and friends that they are getting their visas quicker now, and so there are good news coming in last few months. So I would request Minister Neil Richmond to share. He can share some thoughts, and we'll take it from there. Then, thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mosam. Assalamu alaikum to you all. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address. And one thing I just want to start before I say a few things is something that we in government don't say enough, and that's quite simply thank you. particularly to all of you who are working in the Irish healthcare system at the moment. Thank you for the hours and hours of very, very tough work that you do on the front lines for all of society. It makes such a difference. And I know it's only words, but it really does mean so much. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of topics, both for your own benefit, but I'm aware that there are a number of people dialed in from outside Ireland who perhaps are considering coming to Ireland, and I very much hope they do, to be quite frank. And I think that's the first thing. Those of you who have come to Ireland, you're extremely welcome. As mentioned, we're so grateful to your work. And those of you like yourself, Muslim Malika, who have been able to receive your citizenship, I'm really so proud to call you fellow Irishmen at this stage. And it is great to have you as such. And I do want to thank you all for the work in your campaign, because campaigns like this, for us from a government point of view, it's giving voice to perhaps issues that we weren't dealing with on a daily basis because we just weren't aware of how serious things had got. And the fact that you were able to coordinate, collaborate, and bring so many people together enabled us to make that change. There was never any opposition to making that change, but it's like everything in politics. If we can't hear about it, then we can't change it. So please make sure your voices continue to be loud, both for those of you who are in Ireland, those of you who are working as medical doctors, of course, but of course your families, your friends, your peer group, whatever the issue may be. Just very broadly, in relation to the Irish healthcare system and the vision that my party has and where we're going into the general election. I'm not going to give a party political broadcaster, make a big pitch for votes. That's not appropriate in this forum. But what I just want to lay out, particularly for those who are perhaps dialing in from abroad, about what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. We will pass the finance bill on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. Once we pass that bill, which gives light to all the budgetary decisions for next year, then our Prime Minister, Taoiseach Simon Harris.
Happy birthday to you. It's a birthday tomorrow.
It's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Neil. Sorry, Neil, I would ask you to unmute yourself. I think
no problem.
Everyone. Yeah, no, it's fine.
I'm particularly taken that someone is interrupting a family birthday to dial in, so hopefully I won't spoil the celebrations too much. So once we pass the finance bill, our Prime Minister, Simon Harris, former Minister for Health, will dissolve the Dáil, and I expect that we'll have an election on the 29th of November. Our current government, as you guys are very well aware, is three parties. My own party, Fine Gael, that is a party of the centre-right, Fianna Fáil, that is a party of the centre, and the Green Party, which is an ecological party. We'll be seeking re-election, and we'll be seeking reaffirmation for the progress that has been made over the last number of years. Other parties will make their pitch themselves. I'm not here to make a political pitch, as I said, but just it's quite clear when we look at Irish society and the economy, what is going to be required over the coming years is a continuing massive investment in our healthcare system, but equally a continuing reliance on medical professionals, doctors, nurses, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, radiographers, and everything else in between from outside the European Economic Area to come and work and contribute to our health system. Our population is getting older, and they're living longer thanks to the very good work that you're all doing. Our waiting lists are coming down in hospitals as well. And as our population age, they will require, of course, more healthcare, but our population is also growing. It's growing because people are living longer. It's growing, thankfully, because more people are coming here. Our population now is at about 5.1 million people in the Republic of Ireland. It'll probably grow to about 6 million people within the next decade. It's been continuous growth for the last 20 years. And just to make a political point, some certain elements of the internet like to say things like Ireland is full. Let's just be quite frank, the population of Ireland today is still much lower than it was in 1845, the year of our Great Famine. So Ireland is most certainly not full. In fact, Ireland remains the land of 100,000 welcomes. But as we increase in terms of population, we need to increase the amount of healthcare professionals. And we'll do that by three ways. First, we're increasing the amount of places in our third level institutions where you can train and study to be a doctor here. We've entered into agreement with the universities in Northern Ireland for more medical places in places like Magee in Derry in the beautiful Northwest, but as well as increased nursing places and other professionals. But of course, we will need to bring in a lot more doctors in particular. When I was Minister for Employment Affairs, which I moved from in April, in 1 year I issued 31,000 work permits. 9,000 of those work permits were to healthcare professionals. So nearly a third of our work permits, nearly a third of the people coming to work in Ireland from outside the European Economic Area are in healthcare. That trajectory will continue. It simply has to continue. As you mentioned, we will be changing the system in relation to, obviously, medical doctors are all largely eligible for critical work permits. For those who are thinking about that, that means we can make a decision within 6 or 7 days to issue the work permit. And of course, your family can come with you and your spouse can work from the get-go. That will continue, of course. But we want to broaden that to make it quicker for those who aren't coming on critical permits to get a decision. That means at the moment to get a work permit in Ireland, the average is 12 days. But to get a visa can be 6 to 8 weeks. And as Lika referred to, we are merging that system going forward, whereby it's one application for a work permit and visa. It's a joint application. Doesn't require any policy or legislative change. It's merely an ICT development. But that is well ahead of schedule. All the work has been done from my former colleagues in the Department of Enterprise and the Department of Justice, and nearly finished their work too. So that'll come on stream too, which is crucially very important for those who want to come work as healthcare assistants or occupations that aren't on the critical skills list. In relation to, I also forgot to mention that the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, who obviously operate campuses, particularly in the Gulf region, are looking to expand that even further to give the opportunity for people across South Asia, the Middle East and the Gulf region, the opportunity to train in an Irish third level institution, and of course to come over and study and train here, something that there's been a really strong tradition of for many years. And I know their secondary campus in Sandyford very well, as it is in my constituency. Our health budget this year stands at €25 billion to cover the entire sector. It's agreed upon. We're continuing to hire. There isn't any embargo on any hiring. We're continuing to grow the workforce. We know we need to grow it even further. But crucially, when it comes to visas and family reunification going further, this is where there needs to be a particular piece of work. And this is beyond necessarily just the importance of healthcare workers and medical doctors, but what we need to achieve, more importantly, to allow people to stay here. Because both of you referred to the importance of putting down roots, being able to work here, of course, but being able to make this your home. So that a lot of work is going into that to speed that up, to make it a lot quicker. I'm delighted that you got your citizenship within 18 months, but I want to see that down to 12 months in the next year or two. That's our aim. We're clearing through the backlog. We have 450 additional officials working in this section in the Department of Justice just to bring it up to speed. Anyone who is eligible for citizenship that is resident here that applies should be able to receive it in a really quick manner. That's our aim going forward. There is a big political debate, though, and I'll end on this point in relation to immigration in Ireland. To be quite frank, when I grew up in Ireland, we didn't really have any immigration. Of course, we had some doctors. We've always had doctors coming to Ireland. We're very grateful for that. My father-in-law is a cardiothoracic surgeon, and he would have trained medics from Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, everywhere throughout his career. But we only really started to have people wanting to come to Ireland in the late 1990s. Before that, Irish people emigrated. Our nurses went to Australia, our medics went to the US of A, lots of people went to Saudi as well. But every profession, because it wasn't an economy or society people want to move to. Thankfully, that's changed. And thankfully, last year we had 80,000 net inward migration. More people came to Ireland than left Ireland. Irish people will always want to travel. I emigrated for a number of years myself, absolutely benefited from that. But there are some people who will try and make immigration a political football. Of course, our system needs to get quicker. It needs to get firmer. It needs to get fairer. But it doesn't take away from the fact that immigration is a good thing. Immigration has been good for Ireland. Immigration will continue to be good for Ireland. And the area that benefits the most, much like in the United Kingdom, is our healthcare system. If it wasn't for immigrant doctors, nurses, medics of all classes, we simply would not be able to run a healthcare system here in Ireland. So going forward, all the conversations that we'll have here this evening, everything going forward, you all have my mobile number or my email, at least I hope at this stage. Hopefully, inshallah, I'll be returned to Parliament in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully, I'll be returned to government. And if so, we'll continue the work. And I want to make this an even easier place for people to come to work as a doctor, but more importantly, a place to come to raise their family, to put down roots, and to feel as much part of society as everyone on this call. That's all I have for now. Muslim, more than happy to take any questions or any follow-up in due course.
Great. Thank you so much, Neil. And before going to my guest speakers, I'll just quickly mention a few points which I have noted that the Department of Justice and Department of Enterprise have been working tirelessly, and like we international doctors have definitely benefited from their work. Like if I mention the citizenship process has been changed from paper-based to online based, that's a huge positive change. Then recently, only like in last week, they introduced a tracking platform, the online tracking platform. That's another amazing and positive change. And from now, only from last month, the whole country has gone from Garda station to online IRP renewals. Again, massive positive change. It will avoid all the waiting list for appointments and stuff. And ease of getting through the process. The only thing I would like to get your attention towards is the children's renewal visas. So I know at the moment the non-EU immigrants or all the workers, they don't have to renew get their Irish re-entry visa for their children under 16. They can travel without any visa with their legal guardians. That's the policy, Ireland's policy. It's been going okay, but there have been good few incidents at different airports and all across the world when the parents, they are being stopped, and some people know, sometimes the immigration officers at the departure desk, they know that, oh, this is the policy, but sometimes they don't know. So the parent and the family, they end up waiting there for some time, more than 2-3 hours, and there's a risk of missing their flights as well. So if that can be looked into this, please. So that was the one point I wanted to mention. And I would now invite Mr. Numan Nabi to share his thoughts, please. Mr. Numan Nabi is a president of Association of Irish Pakistani Physicians and Surgeons. Dr. Numan, are you here? Yeah, I will. Mr. Amar, Dr. Amar, if you want to unmute yourself and you can share your thoughts, and then we can go back to Numan again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Neil, for your time today. Definitely, we saw a big change in the Egyptian society, and we're quite happy with the changes and looking forward to more positive changes. Thank you so much. I have no question. Thank you.
Great. Dr. Lika, you want to invite anyone else? Meanwhile, I'll contact Dr. Numan.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready now, Muslim.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Lika and Muslim, for organizing this great event and webinar especially. And Neil, nice to see you. And it's good to see you all the time. And congratulations being re-nominated again for the election. And hopefully, inshallah, you will be able to come back to Parliament. And we would like to see you there. And my question is regarding to, because so far, so good, means regarding to the nationality-wise naturalization, the process is a bit speeded up. But the problem I find that is a certificate of naturalization is taking 3 months, 4 months time, That's really creating a huge burden. And also the passport delays is also extending the time as almost 6 months after getting the nationality. That's, I find that bit very difficult, for especially if you apply for the kids and they are going in the universities, then it's very hard to wait for the certificate of naturalization. Sometimes they can miss the slot in the university due to this thing. And I was almost ready to lose the slot for my daughter regarding to this matter. But thanks God, we got it. And another thing is regarding to, because we have to see the basic routes for the regarding to the over next generation, over Irish kids to join medical school. And that debate is going on with the educators in the IMC as well. I had the chance to sit with them. The basic problem I find that is that because if the foundation is not good, the building is going to collapse. We have to look after for this hatchpad stuff regarding to join the medical schools in Ireland. That's really creating a whole huge trouble for our young kids there that they would like to become doctors, and most of them they are not joining due to this reason. And I think and I will suggest if your next coming government can have a look regarding to this matter and sit with the universities, because the universities are not happy that with the HPAT as well. And that's the only thing. And I'm pleased to hear that because the right now the work permit and the visa are going to be issued in the same time. Am I right, Neil? That's I would like to ask that. That's going to happen in future.
Sorry, hopefully you can hear me here. The video is a bit slow. I'm just trying to preserve. Can you hear me? Is that okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can't get the video. There we go. I'll just answer those three questions while you have me, if that's okay. And I'm sure there's more. And thank you for all for your kind comments. Just in relation to, firstly, Muslim, the children's visa renewal and those incidents across airports, they will be looked at. But this is always an issue, I won't lie. This has always been an issue. And it's the same with why it takes so long to get a child's passport for an Irish national child compared to an adult. It's all about child protection. It's all about making sure there isn't any incidences of risk to the child or family thing. But as you know, there has been a huge focus on immigration policy in relation to visa presentation and INIS officers at the airports. This unfortunately is a byproduct of it. However, where it's not happening efficiently, of course, I'll raise it with the INIS officers. Now, I mean, just 2 points, or 3 points, sorry. Firstly, yes, the system of merging the visa and work permit one is what I was referring to. That's moving along very swiftly, and that's imminent. That's going to be a really important game changer. But again, this is all about IT systems. It's nothing to do with policy or legislation. That's ongoing. In relation to the certificate of nationalisation, yes, it's taking 3 or 4 months. That's down from 12. And we're continuing to work that down, just like the first-time passport applications. Of course, a first-time application always takes longer, but once you get your passport once, it's an automatic online renewal going forward, and that only takes 48 hours. So we've got it down to, it's a max of 6 months at the moment, but the average wait time for a first-time passport is actually 6 weeks. So there's a difference between the average, and there's always exceptional ones, but there is a lot of work on that. And then just in relation to our medical schools and our training going forward, we've just given our third level institutions €6 billion to allow for expansion of facilities. Now, that's for all facilities, but it was targeted at the main universities, all of whom have medical schools: UCD, Trinity, NUI Galway, UCC, all that as well. So that's where the target is, to allow them increased places for people coming out of the Irish education system, crucially. And that's something that it's always going to be hard to get into an Irish medical school. There's a reason for that. There's a good reason. There's a reason why doctors have higher pass rates in their examinations than ordinary people like me. But absolutely, we are expanding all our medical schools going forward. It's not something that can be done overnight. It's going to take at least 5 to 10 years to get them to the level. But I think a real key to this is actually the coordination between Northern Ireland and the Republic. The opportunity for space for growth, it is in medical places in Northern Ireland, I would argue. But certainly, and look, we've seen, particularly in your own part of the world, how UL has done an amazing turnaround in terms of their graduate medical school in the last few years. That's something that we want to expand going forward as well, because it's quite obvious if someone has come through a different third level degree in physiology or physiotherapy, they clearly have the aptitude to go into medical school. But the Irish education system, I'm sure your kids will tell you, it's fairly brutal. We are changing it. It is a big focus on rote learning, and mandatory languages like Irish and European language and mathematics and all that. It's not for everyone, but it is evolving, and it's certainly unrecognizable than when I came out of it 25 years ago.
No, I totally agree with you, Neil, because we have just given authorities to Ulster University. We recognize them, and they also Queen's University in Belfast got 50 seats from Ireland as well, and is brilliant. But my question is that because the system is stopping them, because if somebody is getting 6 H1s or 7 H1s and they're not able to join medical school, it means it needs to be done for these brilliant kids, in future. And because it has been stopped in Australia, because they copy from Australia. And right now, I think so, because I had the chance to sit with the professors and dealing with the strategic plannings regarding to education. And they are looking forward because universities are not happy about that.
Yeah.
But hopefully debate will start and then something will come out positive regarding to this matter.
Well, certainly I would have been very hopeful that when we gave them all that extra money 4 weeks ago, that'll allow for a lot more places to be opened up. Because of course, if anyone's getting 6 H1s, or I'm not too sure what that was in old money when I was there, it was about 600 points. If that doesn't get you into medical school, there's something very wrong. But certainly, this is what a project that we started off this year in terms of growing the number of spaces in our third level. We have to be realistic that it's going to take 5 to 10 years. But certainly medicine, nursing, and all the related fields, they're top of our priority, because we need to be able to produce these people in Ireland. Absolutely brilliant, reliant on people coming from overseas, but we need to have matching talent as well.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Aman and Neil. I will invite Mr. Nimar Usman to share his thoughts, or if he has any questions, please.
Thank you, Muazzam, and thank you very much, Mr. Richmond, for your time. I really enjoyed the talk from Lika, and I can see I'm one of the oldest people here, possibly. I'm in this country now over 21 years, so I can see the progress happened over the years, certainly with the help of the Association of International Doctors in Ireland, Lika, Muazzam, and the team. The great progress happened with the authorities and relevant ministers. So I don't have much to say, but I have 2 points for the minister, if you don't mind. One, the visas for the family members, in particular here, I mean, parents or family members of doctors and health workers who are originally from outside, like myself and the rest of the group, asking for their family members, very close first-degree members, to join them for a visit visa, which we used to do a few years ago quite easily and straightforward, especially for elders and parents and so on. It looks like over the last 2-3 years, things became more restricted. I would say rather for particular countries where there is conflicts and things such as Sudan. So instead of relaxing these things, taking into consideration the geopolitical situation, things got much restricted, and the chances of rejection are almost reaching 80 to 90%, even for your parents. So I'm just asking the minister if there is a chance to look into this particular case, and if there is any help can be done in this point. The second and last point I will mention to the minister, we as people who are originally from outside the country, but most of us are Irish citizens, and we're very proud with that and really grateful. Our children are Irish more than being Pakistani or Sudani, and so I don't see a particular interest or focus from the parties, for example, the Fine Gael or the Fianna Fáil or the Green Party, in addressing and focusing on these cohorts and groups of population, immigrants. I looked at the census, the Irish census, 2016, and the recent one, 2022, and you could see the curve going really sharply up. People like us becoming part of Ireland. So I'm just wondering, I don't see a certain focus and addressing this group of people, which in the very near future is going to be huge force. and may decide certain political competitions, and we see in some cases only a handful of people decided the election for one person against the other. So I'm just asking you to address this point as well. And thank you very much for your time. And sorry for taking a long time.
No, you didn't take long at all. And I'm going to start with your second point first, because that's the easy one. It's the easy one for me because up to a couple of months ago, my party was led by the son of an immigrant doctor who himself was a medical doctor. So we take a very proud look in my party that we have a very deep focus on integration and intercultural diversity. Where I live in Stepaside, my local representative, Kazi Ahmed, has been here for 17 years, Bangladeshi originally. Both his sisters are consultants in the Beacon nearby, and indeed their husbands are too. And Kazi has been a representative now for over 6 years in my area, and he gets votes from everyone because he's an excellent councillor. And I certainly think for my party, we will make a very clear distinction that not only do we believe in immigration as being a good thing for our country, but we also want to champion those examples of people who've come here and who have succeeded. And that can be medical doctors like yourselves. It can be athletes like Rashidi Adeleke and Tala, the sprinter, who obviously have Nigerian parents. And it's no different. My uncle lives in the UK and he's an elected representative there, but he emigrated from Ireland 60 years ago, married a German nurse. You know, it's very typical. This is a story that we in Ireland are used to talking about. There's plenty of Irish people have been able to succeed in other jurisdictions, in their chosen professions, in politics and sport, in media, and we want to make sure that we are the voice and champions. So if anyone is interested in getting involved in the Fine Gael party, FG Intercultural, I think the current we're on our fourth chairperson of that, and they've all come, 4 people who've all come to Ireland from 4 different countries. It's very diverse. We've had the current leaders from Pakistan. Previous to that, we had someone from India. Previous to that, we had someone from Nigeria. But of course, they're all Irish, and that's the most important thing. Now, your more difficult question in terms to visas for family members, it has got more restrictive, to be quite frank. And it has become an increasing issue that family members were overstaying and becoming dependent. And that's just the truth of the matter. And at a time when immigration has become a very big political issue and where people want to make sure that the rules that are in place are being followed, when there's very clear breaches of the rules coming, particularly when it's elderly dependents who are a long way away from their kids. And of course, we want them to come visit and see their grandchildren and see their children and everything else. But there was an extremely high instance rate, upwards of 60% of people who just overstayed their visa. And that's the rationale for it, to be quite frank. And as you rightly say, it's been post-COVID where this has really started to hit in, because obviously we had so many different travel restrictions during the pandemic period, as well as everything else. Then added to that, there was a huge built-up and pent-up demand. If you haven't seen your family in 3 to 5 years, which I know is extremely painful for all of you who want to see your family, absolutely. But it just meant there was a huge amount of people wanting to come, but equally, that process was slowed down, but it also meant that there was a bigger strain on the system, and it led to more incidences of abuse. It is under constant review. That's the only thing I'll say. Everything on our migration system is on constant review. The countries that are noted as safe countries, the countries where we see surges in asylum applications that are quite evidently bogus, we always review that. But equally, we also respond to conflict. So at the moment, we have a huge amount of people coming to Ireland who are seeking asylum, who on paper are saying they're Jordanian, but of course they're actually from Palestine. So that's something that we can see and make swift changes. We did it before with Afghanistan, with Syria, and other countries based on the conflicts there. So we'll continue to. It is a flexible process, and I really appreciate, and I think I have a file of about 100 cases of family members of medics who have been waiting for all in upwards of 18 months to come visit. I've never had so many calls from South Africans like I have in the last couple of weeks, because that's been the latest sort of surge area because of the economic situation in South Africa as well. Look, it's, as I said, I've no answer that's going to be instantaneously agreeable to you, bar that is under constant review, and we're very aware of the very real human impact that it has.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richmond.
So much. And now I will invite our next guest, Mr. Al-Sadiq Abdul Noor, please.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Minister, for your time, and really appreciate it and enjoy the talk. And I'm representing Sudanese doctors in Ireland. So my question will be related to Sudanese doctors. Just the same question like Dr. Namir, but it's different in a way. I encountered many of our colleagues, Sudanese doctors, that joined the Irish healthcare system, but the visa is still delayed for their wives and children. And this is not a visit visa. This is supposed to join their spouse here. Some of them being denied, rejected, and reapplied again. This is number one. Number two, because of the current conflict in the Sudan, previously they applied for the Irish consulate in Khartoum, but now because of the war, I think they are allowed to apply wherever they are, especially the doctors, in Abu Dhabi, in Cairo, in Nairobi, I guess. But still they are encountering many difficulties. They got a job here, they got a work permit, but the visa is being delayed, sometimes rejected, which is, to me, unjustified. So I don't know whether the minister can help in this issue or not. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the situation in Sudan is probably, it's not unique, but it is different, and I think that needs to be acknowledged. Two things, yes, absolutely. Delays with those visas, where visas are being rejected. Visas are rejected for many different reasons, and I'm not going to second guess our Department for Justice why they reject visas. Often it's for reasons, and I approved so many work permits that went through, but the visas just weren't approved for lots of different reasons, based on paperwork, based on filing, based on accuracy. I can't speak to every single issue as the same, but more than happy to take up, as I have done with many colleagues on the call, individual cases, be it in relation to family reunification or very clear medics who've taken up positions in Irish hospitals, to get to the bottom of why the rejection was there and how we can speed up an appeal process. I put my email, because someone asked for my contact details, I've put it in the chat there. I'll answer to most emails within 72 hours, particularly if there's individual cases.
Thank you so much. And I would now go back to all our audience. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and then we'll unmute you. That's okay.
Muazzam, is it okay if I ask one thing?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Mr. Eid. Appreciate your all time. Very comprehensively, summarizedly, you addressed all the questions. I'm very much interested regarding elections 2025 in Ireland. So people are still asking me about the process, whether they can vote now and who can vote. Basic information, I think they're very busy to see on the on the internet or something. So they're really asking from some person and who can vote, and are they still able to register, or what is the way forward? So would you please advise on that or give some points on that? Thank you.
Thanks, Lika. So the elections that we will most likely have this month are for our parliament. It's a general election. Those who are entitled to voting for that are any Irish or British citizens. So British nationals are able to vote as well. It's due to the Good Friday Agreement. In relation to other elections, there are European elections that have just passed. That's for any EU citizen. For local elections, it's anyone who's here legally is able to vote in local elections. And that includes people who are in the, they're here and they've applied for citizenship. Even if they haven't received it, they can vote. But that is for council elections. Presidential and referendum elections will have a presidential election within a year. That's for people who are Irish citizens as well, not British, just Irish. So anyone who has Irish or British citizenship, of course, can still register to vote. You can apply for a vote up to 2 weeks before the election date. So there's still plenty of time. I'm going to give two links. It's voter, voter.ie. That's where you go, and you can do a thing in there called check the register if you have already registered to vote. If you haven't, you can get the forms there, or if you live in Dublin, you can actually apply to vote online. So you don't even need to fill in forms. You need your name, your address, your PPS number, and that's it. And as I said, once you apply to vote, you'll be sent out a polling card. You'll be confirmed that you have a vote in the constituency where you are living. You just go to the polling station with photo ID, and you're entitled to vote. And it's as straightforward as that. We use PRS TV here, so it's voting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way the length of the ballot in order of preference. It's not an X, it's not a punch, it's not a series of, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 in order of preference. And with our system, you have to vote for the individual as well as the party, so it's not a list system either. That's the easiest way. There is specific information on the Electoral Commission website, particularly for those who may have not voted in Ireland before or who are new to Ireland, just to provide information. That information isn't just available in English, it's available in Arabic and Urdu, in Mandarin, I think it's 19 of the most popular languages of people who are new Irish citizens.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. Dr. Numan has raised the hand. So yeah, you can unmute yourself, Dr. Numan.
Can you hear me, Maz?
Yeah, you can. Okay.
Hi, Neil, it's me again. I don't want to be a pain for you. And being as the president of the association, the problem like our young doctors are facing is housing. And I would like to know about your party position and your any major reforms are coming regarding to that. What's your plans and projects? What do you guys think about housing crisis in Ireland? That's a major issue going on.
Yeah, housing is the biggest issue in the country. It's the biggest issue in the election, followed closely by school and childcare places, because they're tied. If you eventually get a house, maybe you want to start a family, you want to get them into childcare or a school, you want to get them registered with a GP. All these things take time because there isn't enough of any of these things. In terms of housing, when I was elected to Parliament 4.5 years ago, we were building 10,000 homes a year. This year, we've built 40,000 homes. And our plan is housing for all. It's to continue to build. We have planning and zoning for ample amount of housing in this country. As I said, Ireland is no way full. But what we've actually seen this year is the introduction of affordable housing. So perhaps not for medical doctors, well, some medical doctors, that's for someone who's on a wage of maybe about €70,000 per annum, particularly of interest to those who are in the nursing profession. That's one of the big things, to make sure that there's affordable housing as well. And that's housing that's built on state-owned land. So as I said, this year we'll build 40,000 houses, but we've started building on 50,000 homes. I hope to see this increase. So we're building about 65,000 homes a year, with at least 20 to 25% of them being affordable homes, which is state subsidised housing. So it's the biggest issue. I've never objected to a planning permission in my career. I've been 15 years in elected office now. I don't intend to start now.
All right. Thank you very much. Another question is coming regarding to that, because the problem is with the especially doctors communities housing. Do you have any plans, a project like you have a student accommodations? You can think about the same like doctors accommodation close to the hospital with like a semi-detached or detached or like a just like a studio apartment with family or without families. If you have something in your plan. Because if you have put so much health budget, if you can do a bit changes in that, and they can accommodate the young doctors that they are changing 6 months, year time, they have to move around. If you guys have any plans for regarding to that.
Yeah, and that's actually something that used to be really common in Ireland. As I said, my in-laws are a surgeon and a nurse. And as a young nurse, my mother-in-law lived in nurses' accommodation, which was attached to, I don't know if any of you remember Bagot Street Hospital. It's disused now, but it was attached to Trinity College, and it was a teacher training hospital for nurses. So she would have lived there, as did any nurse who wasn't married. You know, this was the late 60s, early 70s. It was a different era culturally and socially. Certainly, we have made provision, particularly in nursing homes, to increase the budgets for them and increase advantages for nursing homes who put on-site accommodation for staff members. It's particularly acute in nursing homes because they're not necessarily very centrally located, particularly in the regions. And I'm sure you've all visited nursing homes that are actually outside on the outskirts of a town. They're not easy to get to by public transport. In terms of our hospitals, like a lot of our major hospitals would have had accommodation wings connected to them, but obviously, as needs must, they were converted into wards and everything else. Particularly our older hospitals, the Adelaide and the Meath would have been very famous before they got moved into Tala many years ago. It's something that we'll look at not necessarily as part of the hospital complex, but giving hospitals the ability to build apartment blocks on their land for use by the hospital. Absolutely. That's something that we're looking at, particularly in Park for the new National Maternity Hospital, which will feed into the St. Vincent's University Hospital site as well. It's not the silver bullet solution, though. This is generally for trainee doctors. It's for recently qualified medics. It's something that we're very open to. As I said, we did it for decades. We can do it again. But for us, the priority when we look at our hospitals isn't necessarily the construction of accommodation for residential. It is to actually expand the operating theatres, the everything that goes with the bed capacity, all that sort of stuff. So it is something that we're open to. It is something that we're starting to make the move towards. But to be honest, just building more houses first and foremost, it's as blunt as that, is our top priority. And we have a plan that has started to work, but we're very keen to get back in to actually make sure we realize it. So by the time someone who's entering into medical school at the moment, by the time they graduate, they won't be facing the sort of rental prices or waiting lists that many face at the moment. But equally, by the time they are getting to 30, that they are comfortably in a position to buy their own home, which was the way it was a decade ago, and we need to get back to that place.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, great, thank you. We don't have anyone raised hand at the moment. So we are just on the time at the moment. Neil, if that's okay, I'll just ask one question before we finish this up, if that's okay. Just before asking the question, I would just remind everyone, all of our audience who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook as well, that all we immigrant doctors or any other from other professions, Ireland has helped us making Ireland our home, but we have some responsibilities on our shoulders as well. Like I would say, we can act as whistleblowers, especially like as Minister has mentioned, the visa overstays issues, which has led to the delays in visa processing and high number of rejections. So we can try to become a responsible Irish citizen and report if anybody is abusing the facilities provided by Irish government or Ireland, or if, like in being a doctor, if you see anybody trying to abuse stamp 4, which is only brought in by this government and has been a big problem 5 years ago. And then if anybody is trying to abuse the visa or any other facility, so we can try to report or address this issue and play our part as well as a citizen. So my question is only like I'm working in Letterkenny at the moment, so I would say I'm a Donegal resident, and some in media or sometimes Donegal is labeled as the forgotten county. So I would try to represent my county at the moment, although I'm a Dubliner. But I think there are a few issues in Letterkenny Hospital. I know it's not in the top 3 overcrowded hospital, but it has huge in catchment area. It covers 140,000 people in terms of catchment area. And is there anything on your party's policy about health sector, improving health sector in Letterkenny or in Donegal County? And the number 2 thing is Northern Ireland has recently approved the upgradation of A5, which connects Derry to Monaghan. Which is the main route from Dublin to Donegal as well. The Irish part is from Lifford to Letterkenny, the N14. Is there? I know it's being planned to upgrade it in 2030. The construction is due to start in 2030, but that's still, we're looking down into the 6 years. So I would just like to flag it up if there's any chance this can be looked at, as that's the most recent accident was the lorry turned off on N14, and that was a call to be like for a safety assessment of the rate altogether of the N14 road, Lifford, Letterkenny. So it's just about the Donegal County.
Yeah, Donegal is a wonderful county, first and foremost. We've ring-fenced the funding for the A5. We were just waiting for the Northern Irish Executive to do their part. Now that they have, we can absolutely look at bringing forward the timeline. We review all our roads plans in 2026 regardless. So if we can make that happen earlier, it'll be a really important one for cross-border reconciliation. Letterkenny General is an extremely unique hospital because a lot of the area that it covers is, of course, in a different jurisdiction. And the partnership there with Achnagalvin in Derry is really, really important. But, illness doesn't really recognise a border. And we saw that most recently very clearly. Yet there is capital plans for additional funding for Letterkenny General. I know there's, I think, one, if not two, primary care centres in that region that have been approved as well. And we know the staffing issues there, that there is a number of open vacancies that we put the funding in place, and we're helping with centralised recruitment to attract people to take up those places and to have the opportunity to live in probably what is one of the most beautiful counties in the country, to be quite frank.
Great. Thank you so much. We have one more question, sorry, Neil, from Absar Ahmed. Absar Ahmed, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Mozum. Thank you very much. Actually, that's a great session, and thank you very much, Neil, to be here. It's really a pleasure to speaking with you directly, Minister. So the one thing I just wanted to help in my experience when I was trying to contact in Karachi embassy. I think you don't have an embassy in Karachi, but in Pakistan, Karachi. But I think there are some sub office of Ireland.
It's honorary consultant.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. So I didn't get a good support from them because I had some queries to ask them. Of course, when you're applying first time and you're trying to understand a few comments from your website, but it didn't, that clear that as you want. So I didn't get. I have some sample email. If you want me to share with you, I can do that. But I think this will help others who are coming to and need some clarity on the documentation side. Will help them to, address the clarity on the requirement side. So the one thing is, second thing is, as you know that the everything is getting expensive, right? As you say, accommodations and groceries and things are. How often what's planned to relook the remuneration package for the doctors as well? So maybe because I saw that you are a Department of Finance kind of person, so maybe you can address them both. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you have any individual examples, if you could, I put my email address in the chat. It'd be great if you could send them through. Obviously, we have our embassy now open in Pakistan. We have a trade mission there currently at the moment in Islamabad. It's growing. It's ready to welcome the Irish cricket team next year when they're going to win a series. He says, hopefully. But in relation to remuneration is, we'll have the second page of the second year of the public pay deal will come in this year, which will see a 10% increase for everyone working in the public sector. We just renegotiated contracts with hospital consultants and also with GPs. On average, and as I said, I was in employment before, so in terms of public sector wage negotiations, they take place every 5 years unless people like the IMO or otherwise seek a break clause because of huge increases in inflation, which we would have seen in the last 2 years. Inflation has died down. It's back at 2% at the moment. It was 9%. But certainly remuneration, it will go up in the next tax year from January up by 10% for those in the public scheme, all positions in the public scheme, medical or non-medical. And then we are always on standby with the Irish Hospital Consultants Association and the IMO to look into the next round of negotiations, which I'd imagine they're not due to start for another 12 to 18 months. But if they have to start earlier, they will. To be honest, I think we offer our medics at all different levels quite competitive salaries based on global averages. But we are aware that Ireland it's an expensive place to live. But the average industrial wage here will touch €50,000 in the next couple of years. So there is, yes, things are expensive, but the salaries there are generally there to meet it. But for us, from a government point of view, Obviously, those of you with children will get a double child benefit package on Thursday, and we will see changes to our taxation in January if I pass this finance bill on Tuesday, whereby the rate at which you pay the upper rate of tax will go up. So you won't pay the upper rate of tax until you're earning €44,000, until earnings over €44,000 per annum, and then the USC will be cut under €70,000, and that'll come into place from the 1st of January as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Neil, and thanks everyone. We'll try to close the session now. And if somebody have any queries, they can email Minister Neil Richmond, and the team will be happy to come back to them. I would like to thanks again all our guests, Mr. Noman, Mr. Amar, Dr. Al Sadiq, and Dr. Nimar. And thanks for your time, Neil Richmond, again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Muazzam. I'll say last statement that we have representative of organizations. So we need to give some political awareness to our international doctors. I know they're very busy and their families. So this is election time. So we need to show them that, need to tell them, to be honest, proactively, that we have been helped in the last 5 years. We will looking forward to more help from the people. So this is what is the main purpose of this webinar as well, just to motivate your colleagues, especially your representative organization, for the voting. We need to actively participate in that, and we need to make sure tell them that what we have achieved in the last 5 years, the best immigration system in Ireland for the international doctors. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending.
Thank you. Bye now.